Infinite Emptiness, Life Without Shape. The stories by Shri, Rajeev Shantaram
Thatte.
Not Dead. At Mumbai Central's Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital,
Two
ambulances stood ready at the same time. In one ambulance lay the body of Mr. P.V. Rajan, a patient declared brain dead who had been brought in from Chennai. In the other ambulance was a case involving Mr. P.V. Rajan, who had suffered critical injuries in an accident. Both Mr. Rajan's and Mr. Rajan's bodies were taken to separate intensive care units. Inside the operating theatres, preparations were underway for two very different cases. In one theatre, the entire surgical team, doctors, surgeons, anesthetists, nurses, was assembling for the operation on the brain-dead patient, Mr. P.V. Rajan. The news that his organs, though from a brain-dead patient, would be used to save the lives of 7 patients had sent shockwaves across the country. Journalists, both national and international, and television cameras were on standby to cover what was poised to be India's first successful multi-organ transplant using organs harvested from a brain-dead donor. Mr. Rajan's body was taken into an operating theatre where surgeons carefully removed his heart, both kidneys, lungs, the fragile, spongy organs, segments of his small intestine, his corneas, and bone marrow. Each of these vital parts was stored in a deep freeze box, all prepped to be transplanted into 7 different patients. Meanwhile, in another operating room, preparations were in full swing for Mr. Rajan's surgery. Naturally, the plan was that Mr. Rajan's case would only be addressed after Mr. Rajan's procedure. At the Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital, the atmosphere in the operating suite was charged with energy and responsibility. Relatives of the patients awaiting transplants crowded outside the theatres. PV, it is the correct patient, announced Dr. Vivek Sharma, pointing to the small label affixed to the donor's hand. Then the chief surgeon, Dr. Subramaniam, instructed doctors set up all necessary tubes, give him deep anesthesia. We must ensure that the organs are removed and fixed in the appropriate patients swiftly. A message of readiness was sent to Dean Dr. Dharmapal, a name renowned not only in India but around the world for his expertise in transplant surgery. Over the past 20 years, he had successfully led hundreds of transplant operations, earning the blessings of patients and their families alike. Shortly, Dr. Dharmapal arrived in the operating theatre. Is all well? He asked the assembled surgeons. Yes, sir. We have checked him. Everything is in order. We can proceed with the procedure, replied Dr. Subramaniam. Before long, from Mr. Rajan's body the heart, both kidneys, lungs, segments of small intestine, the corneas, and bone marrow were harvested. All these parts were then transported to the designated operating theatres where teams of surgeons awaited to transplant these organs into 7 patients. Meanwhile, teams in other theatres were preparing their patients for transplant surgeries, having already ensured that blood matching between donor and recipients was completed. Then, amidst the controlled chaos, a startling incident occurred. While Mr. Rajan's organs were being harvested, Dr. Om Prakash, and his assistants were busy in another operating theatre disposing of the dead body. A dangling arm with a band bearing the name Mr. P.V. Raje caught Dr. Om Prakash's eye. Shockingly, instead of the brain-dead patient Mr. P.V. Rajan, the surgical team had mistakenly operated on the body of Mr. P.V. Raje as if he were the brain-dead donor. It was the greatest blunder in medical history. Dr. Om Prakash nearly shouted, his voice shaking with disbelief. He dashed to the dean's office where Dr. Dharmapal was present and reported, "Sir, we have made a massive error. The patient we operated on was identified as MR. P.V. Raje instead of the brain-dead donor Mr. P.V. Rajan. I saw a tag on the patient's hand, MR P.V. Raje. Dr. Dharmapal, visibly shaken, quickly inspected the dangling arm and the bandage clearly marked with Mr. P.V. Raje. This revelation was an unprecedented shock in Dr. Dharmapal's 40-year-long surgical career. Without delay, Dr. Dharmapal contacted all 7 operating theatres via conference call. Doctors, listen carefully. We have made a significant error. The donor whose vital organs we have removed was not the brain-dead patient Mr. P.V. Rajan, but rather another patient, Mr. P.V. Raje. However, we have already completed the transplants on several patients. What are we to do now? Amid the ensuing commotion, a single announcement echoed through all the operating rooms. Within minutes, Dr. Dharmapal, his hands trembling and drenched in sweat, stood before the familiar board that had guided his career for years. A board upon which every word and sentence held deep meaning, never before betrayed by him. Then came the solemn press statement from the Dean of Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital, Dr. Dharmapal, later recorded at the police station, I, Dr. Dharmapal, Dean of Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital, Mumbai, hereby state the following. 1. I have been overseeing the hospital's operations for the past 20 years. 2. Our hospital comprises several departments dedicated to organ transplantation, each led by a chief physician responsible for that department. As a charitable hospital, we do not charge profit, and our work focuses exclusively on the transplantation of various organs. We do not treat general patients here. Over the last 20 years, thousands of transplant surgeries have been performed, with a recovery rate of 99.70%, while only 0.30% have resulted in failures significantly higher than the average 34% recovery rate at other transplant hospitals. All surgical data has been published in global scientific journals and in the official World Health Organization journal this year. 3. In a hospital in Chennai, a patient named Mr. P.V. Rajan had been treated for a skull fracture and was declared brain dead after 2 months of treatment. 4. Mr. P.V. Rajan did not respond to further treatment. 5. His close relatives, having observed no improvement, decided to donate his body for organ donation with all necessary paperwork duly completed and signed. 6. At the request of his relatives, Mr. P.V. Rajan's brain-dead body was transferred to our hospital free of charge by the Chennai hospital. 7. Our hospital arranged to bring this body from Chennai to Mumbai by air, covering all expenses. 8. Before transport, Extensive medical tests were conducted to ensure that his body was a perfect match for a patient on our waiting list. All relatives of the recipient patients were informed, and advanced payments were collected from them. 9. Approximately 4.6 million rupees were spent to bring Mr. P.V. Rajan's brain-dead body to Mumbai, which is now accounted for in our records. 10. 7 patients had already been admitted 2 days prior and certified fit for surgery. After 5 minutes, Dr. Dharmaraj suddenly had a new idea. He hurried over to the operating theatre where Mr. P.V. Rajan had been placed. His respirations were still present. All other systems were functioning. Dr. Dharmapal shone a battery light into his eyes. The corneas seemed to shimmer slightly, and his fingers trembled a bit. He then phoned the hospital in Chennai. It turned out that Mr. P.V. Rajan had suffered a skull fracture and, after prolonged treatment without any response, had been declared brain dead, allowing his organs to be donated free of charge. The cost of transporting his body from Chennai to Mumbai was fully borne by our hospital, and an agreement had been reached with a wealthy patient in Mumbai awaiting a transplant. Dr. Dharmapal, having decided to treat Mr. P.V. Rajan, summoned the best surgeons from home and began the operation. The initial plan was to reoperate on his skull fracture and then address his brain. The surgery lasted 6 to 7 hours, a monumental attempt to bring a brain-dead patient back to life. Whether this experimental procedure would succeed was not only difficult to predict, but almost impossible to determine. After 7 hours of tireless effort by Dr. Dharmapal and his team, Mr. P.V. Rajan was restored from the brain-dead state. His various organs began to respond to surgical stimuli. Approximately 10 hours later, he was returned to the ICU. The operation was ultimately successful. Dr. Dharmapal later reviewed the outcomes of transplants performed on other patients. 7 of them had suffered fatal complications due to organ mismatches. Meanwhile, the relatives of Mr. P.V. Raje had refused to donate his body, and upon noticing the stitches on his entire body, chaos ensued in the hospital. Eventually, the police intervened and sent his body for post-mortem examination at JJ Hospital. The families of the 7 patients who died during the operation were also informed through police reports. Dr. Dharmapal then removed his well-worn apron, the one that had accompanied him through countless successful surgeries, and explained the entire situation to the families by phone. He then called the police and truthfully recounted everything, saying, "I am ready for arrest if I am found guilty." Journalists and television cameras swarmed the hospital. Dr. Dharmapal explained to the media all the details of what had transpired, including the grievous error in identifying the donor. "For all that has happened, I am sorry. I have called the police to take further action," he told the press. Soon, 2 police jeeps with sirens blared into the premises of Sushrut Hospital. Dr. Dharmapal rode in one of the police vehicles, and the police soon drove off toward the station. Today, for the first time at Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Hospital, 8 patients were declared dead as a result of what some are calling a fatal error. Was it the mistake made by a junior doctor, Dr. Vivek Sharma? Regardless, Dr. Dharmapal had, using all his medical expertise, given the gift of life to the brain-dead donor, thereby fulfilling his sacred duty. Yet legally, the death of 8 patients attributed to actions by these doctors and their colleagues remains unanswered. Subsequently, Dr. Dharmapal was brought to the police station. His statement, as recorded by the police. The statement was as below. 1. All 7 patients had been previously informed through signed consent forms by both the patients and their relatives prior to the operation that their critical surgeries carried a risk of severe bodily harm or even death. 2. At the time Mr. P.V. Rajan's brain-dead body was being brought into the hospital, another ambulance simultaneously admitted the severely injured body of Mr. P.V. Raje. 3. For Mr. P.V. Raje, whose injured body was admitted to the hospital, his relatives had already been warned that his life-saving surgery might result in serious bodily injury or death. Only after obtaining their signatures and the signatures of independent witnesses was he admitted for surgery. 4. Both surgeries were performed on patients in critical condition. Consequently, the responsibility for confirming each patient's identity fell upon the junior doctors in the respective departments. In this case, Dr. Vivek Sharma was assigned the task of verifying the patient's identity. Only after the doctors in the operating theatre had confirmed the identity of the donor labelled Mr. P.V. Rajan were the senior surgeons, and I summoned to the theatre. Since the patient's face was obscured by tubes and dressings, the entire team, including the anaesthetists and other surgeons present, proceeded to remove all the organs from the body under the assumption that they belonged to the brain-dead patient, Mr. P.V. Rajan. These organs were then immediately dispatched for transplantation into the respective patients. 5. The transplant surgeries on the recipient patients were carried out by the designated surgeons. Unaware of the true identity of the donor, they performed the operations in a standard, proper manner. 6. While our hospital's Dr. Om Prakash was in the operating theatre, he was suddenly struck by a tremendous shock. He noticed that the bandage on the deceased patient's hand bore the name Mr. P.V. Raje. In other words, instead of operating on the brain-dead patient Mr. P.V. Rajan, the surgical team had mistakenly performed the procedure on the body of Mr. P.V. Raje, treating him as brain-dead. Dr. Om Prakash later exclaimed to me, "It was the greatest blunder in medical history." 7. I immediately rushed into the operating theatre, and the magnitude of the mistake became clear. I called all the surgeons to stop the operations, but all the transplant surgeries had already been completed. However, due to incompatible blood matches, all the recipient patients were left in critical condition. 8. Drawing upon my long-standing experience, I decided to intervene. I performed surgery on the brain-dead patient Mr. P.V. Rajan for 7 to 8 hours. Through this extensive procedure, I believe I managed to grant him a new lease on life, and his condition is now gradually improving. 9. The hospital will not be held responsible for the deaths of the 7 patients who died as a result of transplanting the incorrect organs. 10. For errors of this kind, Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital in Mumbai has secured third-party insurance. It is possible that compensation may be provided to the families of the patients who died in this case. I urge all the affected patients to file their claims with the insurance company. I have provided the above account voluntarily without any coercion or intimidation by the police. Dr. Dharmapal, Dean, Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital, Mumbai. Subsequently, the police arrested all other hospital staff involved in these operations and collected their statements and evidence. Statements were also recorded from the relatives of Mr. P.V. Raje, the injured patient, and the other 7 patients. The police have held Dr. Dharmapal and the rest of the hospital staff responsible for this egregious malpractice. Since no one was granted bail by the court, all the accused were detained in Mumbai prison for 8 days. The court has ordered that this case be handled by the CID and the Criminal Offences Wing. More than 50 patients are treated at our hospital. But when I learned that our facility lacks any key doctors to care for them, I was stunned. We had placed our complete trust in Dr. Dharmapal and his colleagues. Trust that led patients to choose our hospital for their transplant surgeries. It was because of that trust that they were admitted for operations. Today, Dr. Dharmapal and his surgical team are indispensable for the success of these procedures. The court's decision has allowed them to be released temporarily. Many patients, as well as Dr. Dharmapal and his colleagues, have been striving to post bail. They even sought out an excellent lawyer. This is not merely blind faith in Dr. Dharmapal and his team, but a genuine confidence in their skills. The following day was Sunday. In today's session, only urgent matters were to be heard in court. On behalf of the patients, Advocate Sachin Gore submitted an application in court seeking bail for all the doctors involved. The court asked, "What is the purpose of this application for an urgent hearing?" The Metropolitan Magistrates Court has already registered a case, and the inquiry has been assigned to the CID and the Criminal Offences Wing. Why are you challenging that? Advocate Sachin Gore then provided the court with detailed information regarding the operations performed at Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital over the past 20 years. He explained that our hospital is organized into various departments for organ transplantation, each headed by a chief doctor responsible for that department. Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital is a charitable institution that does not earn any profit from its operations. Its management is solely dedicated to the transplantation of various organs, and it does not provide treatment for general patients. Over the past 20 years, thousands of transplant surgeries have been performed here, with a recovery rate of 99.70% compared to less than 34% at other transplant hospitals. Data from all these surgeries has been published in global scientific journals as well as in the official journal of the World Health Organization this year. Copies of these publications are attached. In our hospital, we commit ourselves to providing the best treatment for our patients. In contrast, in many other hospitals, organ transplants are carried out illicitly with cash bribes paid to doctors and agents. At Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital, such practices do not occur. Patients admitted here still prefer our facility over others. We request that, given these circumstances, bail be granted to all the doctors and nursing staff. This application is made not on behalf of the doctors, but by the patients receiving treatment at our hospital. Please give special consideration to this matter in your ruling. Attached are the letters of support signed by all the patients. Please, Honorable Court, take special note of this application. Advocate Sachin Gore, on behalf of the patients, as per the attached list, the court requested 2 hours to deliver its verdict and then adjourned for lunch. After reconvening, 2 important bail applications were presented. After the lawyers' arguments, bail was granted in one case because the accused required bail to undergo heart surgery, while in another case, bail was rejected. The next matter before the court was the case involving the doctors from Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital. The judge began to deliver his verdict. Before me is the urgent hearing application submitted on behalf of the patients by Advocate Sachin Gore, requesting that the doctors and nursing staff of Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital be allowed to resume work for the benefit of the patients. In this case, the feelings and needs of the patients have been duly presented, and the court, with sympathy, has decided to grant temporary bail for a period of 10 days for all these doctors and nursing staff. A final hearing on the matter will take place in the regular court within 10 days, and that decision shall be final. An immediate copy of this interim order shall be provided to the applicants, the court decreed. Advocate Sachin Gore of the High Court received a copy of this order from the court after a short while and forwarded it to the officers of the CID and the Criminal Offences Wing handling the case. Approximately 3 hours later, following the court's order, all the accused were granted temporary bail. They were instructed to register their attendance with the police every morning and to be present for questioning as necessary. In summary, everyone was temporarily released on bail. Immediately upon release, Dr. Dharmapal and all the staff from Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital rushed back to the hospital by taxi. All the patients anxiously awaited news. Dr. Dharmapal then led his team to the ICU, where the bed of the brain-dead patient, Mr. P.V. Rajan, was located. Remarkably, Mr. Rajan's condition had shown significant improvement. His heartbeats were now regular, and not only were there movements in his brain, but also signs that his capacity for thought was gradually returning. Dr. Dharmapal instructed the nurses to bring new medications for Mr. Rajan. Dr. Dharmapal expressed deep gratitude to God. In his office, he looked at the plaque that bore his solemn oath. Overwhelmed, he broke down in tears. His faith in Dhanvantari, the divine healer, was now stronger than ever. Every morning, a bus departs from Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital to escort the guilty doctors and nurses to the police station, where they must register their attendance. The CID officers have confirmed through their investigations that no illicit cash transactions occur at our hospital regarding organ transplants. The Criminal Offences Wing has also verified that no extra cash is collected by our staff. In summary, this entire episode was triggered by a catastrophic error committed by one junior doctor. A mistake caused by the similarity in the names P.V. Rajan and P.V. Raje. Both patients were unconscious, leaving no opportunity for anyone to speak up. In the haste of the operation, that one doctor's error proved fatal. Further details of this case will be thoroughly examined and presented to the court. The bail amount was set at 50,000 rupees, and each accused was to be given to sureties. It is now being revealed in court that all these events occurred due to the error committed by Dr. Vivek Sharma. The court has ordered that Dr. Vivek Sharma be held in police custody for 15 days. The investigation is ongoing, and the police will present their findings to the court. Moreover, if any of the accused fail to cooperate with the investigation, their bail will be revoked. A re-investigation of this matter will take place after 15 days. This case had been under investigation for about 3 months. The police have come to understand that this was not a case of fraud involving murder clauses. It has also been confirmed that neither Dr. Dharmapal nor the hospital bears any responsibility for the deaths of the 7 patients, and the hospital has already initiated procedures for processing the insurance claims for all patients. The recipients are confident that their claims will be settled. 4 months later, I received a call from the police. The CID commissioner had summoned me to his office. My legal consultant and I spent about an hour in the commissioner's office. The CID commissioner asked, "Are you the dean of Sushrut Hospital?" I replied, "Yes, sir." He then produced a report from our investigative officer stating that action should be taken against our hospital. "Take a look at this report," he said. I responded, "We do not accept this report. It must be submitted to court, and our lawyers will present our arguments." The commissioner cautioned, "If you continue to fight, your reputation will be ruined. It will take years. Instead, let us find a solution. We have an advocate friend. Speak with him, and he will suggest a way forward." He handed me an advocate's card. "All right, I'll meet with him," I assured him. The commissioner then ordered some tea and said, "I have heard good things about your hospital. Patients still come here with complete trust, which speaks to your integrity as a doctor. It is unfortunate that you have become entangled in this case, but fate has brought you here. I have called you today so that you can meet with the advocate I have recommended. They will show you the proper way." I thanked the commissioner and took my leave. On the way back to the office, I began discussing the meeting with my legal consultant, Mr. Ghatpande. "Did you think about why the commissioner insisted on speaking with another lawyer in private?" he asked. I couldn't understand why. I admitted, "Sir, these days some advocates act like brokers for the police." "I suspect this one is of that sort," Mr. Ghatpande replied. "Call this advocate to our office and record everything that is said. If anything untoward happens later, we can use the record," I instructed. Once back in the office, the commissioner's advocate was called on the phone and the conversation was recorded. "Hello, this is Dr. Dharmpal speaking. Are you Advocate Randeria?" I asked. "Hello, this is Randeria. The commissioner just called and asked to meet you. When are you available?" He responded, "I'm busy with surgery tomorrow, so can we meet the day after tomorrow at 3 p.m. in my office? Is that convenient?" I proposed, "That will work, but are you the sole decision maker? If anyone else is involved, invite them too, so that everything can be discussed in one meeting," said Advocate Randeria. "All right, I will also call the other managing committee members." I agreed, laughing. "Let's meet at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Jai Shri Ram," he said before hanging up. I transferred the recorded conversation to my computer and then returned to my routine work. The following morning, I went to meet patient Mr. P.V. Rajan. Meeting him and speaking with him openly had always been a favorite pastime of the doctors, as we had once given a brain-dead patient the gift of life. That same day, more surgeries were scheduled. At 3 p.m., I had a meeting with Advocate Randeria, who arrived at the hospital accompanied by two trusted colleagues. Prior to the meeting, they had arranged to record the entire audio and video. After lunch at 2:30 p.m., the two colleagues arrived at the office. At exactly 3 p.m., Advocate Randeria entered the hospital. Although the receptionist did not look like an advocate, he handed over his business card from his cabin, which read, Advocate Ashok Randeria, Business Consultant, Mumbai. I called him into my cabin, greeted him, and introduced my two colleagues. He explained, Commissioner Bobde has briefed us thoroughly on your case. It's extremely complicated, and ensuring your release will be costly. You have already faced extensive paperwork. To secure your acquittal, the Commissioner and others will have to take significant risks. We must prepare all the necessary documents for the court, including submissions to the CID, Economic Offences Wing, the presiding judges, and even ministers. He then asked, What exactly do you expect us to do? I replied, You must be prepared to cover the expenses to secure our freedom from this entire ordeal. Roughly, the total expense will be about a minimum of 10 units, he said. 10 units? Do you mean 10 lakh rupees? I asked. Are you joking? In all likelihood, you will need to spend about 10 crores rupees in total. In such a serious matter, to get out of this, it might have cost 10 lakhs rupees 40 to 50 years ago, he laughed. We run our hospital with integrity. Where would we get such funds? Another doctor questioned. You see, to fight this case in the High Court and the Supreme Court, you'll need to pay your lawyers 10 to 20 lakh rupees every time. 20 to 25 crores rupees could easily be spent. On top of that, you will have to bear immense stress. Even if the lower court rules in our favor, you might still need to appeal, and the government officials decide on that. We are taking care of that already, so why should you be burdened further? The case will rule in our favor in the lower courts, and there will be no appeal in the higher courts. I assure you all of this. Finally, the fact that the police commissioner sent me to you means you must understand, explained Advocate Randeria precisely. Aware that our conversation was being recorded on both audio and video, Dr. Dharmapal remarked, We cannot possibly provide such a huge sum in cash from any of our hospital accounts. We don't even have that much money in our personal bank accounts. Let's just forget this deal. The court's decision will prevail anyway. We simply cannot muster that kind of cash. Then he continued, My usual solution is this. I will provide you with the names, bank details, and account numbers of the companies owned by the wives of these officers. You can transfer the required funds into those accounts. If you need invoices from those companies, you will get them. If you do not have sufficient funds, you can secure a loan or an overdraft from the bank. For that, you will only need to provide 1%, about 10 lakh rupees in cash, to the branch manager. For all these arrangements, I will need a consultancy charge of 20 lakh rupees from your hospital. Payment by check is acceptable. I will first bring you the court order, read it, make any necessary corrections, and then I will hand over all the invoices. You can transfer the money from the bank using those company names. This entire process will take about a month. I guarantee that I can secure a loan of 10 crores rupees from the state bank within 10 to 15 days with a repayment period of 7 years. You run Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital very well already, make further improvements, and even open branches outside Mumbai. All the best for the future. Dr. Dharmapal paused in thought. Even in life's crisis, he had never considered that such solutions might exist in his own 80 plus years. Proceed as you suggest. Give me the bank documents so that I can go ahead and secure a bank loan. Provide me with a rough copy of the court order as you mentioned and the invoices for the amounts you want to transfer. After that, we can arrange for the bank transfers. These funds will only be transferred after the final court order is issued. Is that acceptable? I asked. It is all acceptable. It's final, replied Advocate Randeria. The following month passed very quickly as everything proceeded according to Randeria's plan. We secured a loan from the bank, obtained a sample of the court order, and received all the company details, bank names, and account numbers of the officers' wives. The information regarding who should transfer how much money was also provided to the accounts department. The day of the court order finally arrived. Dr. Dharmapal was somewhat anxious, knowing that our future depended entirely on the court's decision. At 11 a.m., the court convened, and the case of Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital was called. All the doctors and nurses accused stood in the courtroom. All accused are discharged from the charges. All bail bonds are cancelled. A detailed order has been entered in the court record. The court pronounced its final verdict, clearing all the accused. Dr. Dharmapal sent an SMS with a yes to the accounts department, and all funds amounting to 10 crores rupees were transferred by bank. Later that day, the 21st anniversary celebration of Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital took place. The Chief Minister and the Health Minister of Maharashtra were present as chief guests, along with police commissioners, heads of police stations, and High Court judges. Dr. Dharmapal had recently received an international award for his excellent work, and his achievements were being lauded in newspapers not only across Maharashtra but throughout India. Many speeches honored his contributions. Finally, Dr. Dharmapal stood to deliver his speech. Today, on the 21st anniversary of Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital, I am forever grateful to all of you for being here. To date, we have served thousands of patients. May our hospital continue to be blessed with the fortune to serve even more patients in the future, he prayed to God. He then made another announcement. I have been honored by Howard University as the head professor of their organ transplant department. I have accepted this position and will now be retiring from my role as Dean of Sushrut Organs Transplant Specialty Charitable Hospital. My family and I will always remain grateful to our country. I offer my heartfelt salutations to all. After the program ended, Dr. Dharmapal took his final steps into his office. In a symbolic gesture, he removed all the doctor's oath certificates from his office and discarded them into a bag of waste. He no longer placed any trust in the oath certificates of doctors in India. Now, even those oath certificates have become brain dead.